Cancer, diabetes, obesity, hypertension, and asthma are all examples of non-communicable diseases, and sadly, these diseases are the leading cause of death globally. But do they really affect us here in Africa? And are Africans really living with these diseases? Find out here at the African NCD Champions podcast as we share incredible stories of Africans living with non-communicable diseases. My name is Ogweno Stephen and I'll be your host. Let's roll. Welcome to another podcast, to another episode of the African NCD Champions podcast. And today we are very privileged to be hosting quite the guest with a very incredible story on type 1 diabetes. And we're going to listen to all about it. And without further ado, introduce yourself. Your name, what are you doing, what's your story with type 1? Give us a brief introduction about yourself.
Okay, thank you for inviting me here. My name is Josephine Gitahi. I've lived with diabetes for the last 17 years. So I was first diagnosed with diabetes in the year 2005. I was having problem with my eyesight. So that's when we discovered that apart from my eyesight, blood, vision, I was having other signs related to diabetes. So I was having frequent dust, frequent urination, then there's loss of weight, and fatigue. So that's when I was diagnosed with diabetes type 1.
I see. So how many years did you say again?
17 years championing diabetes.
Yeah, 17 years is a lot of years. So talk to us through your experience living with diabetes. How did the experience look like? What what new things did you find out immediately you discovered, and then and 17 years you're still in school. So what was that experience like?
Okay, it wasn't as smooth sailing because each and every day you learn something new about diabetes. So after my medication, I didn't know that the only medication for type 1 was insulin injection. So it was scary knowing that the rest of my life I'll be just injecting myself before I take any meal. So that was a scary moment for me. Then after medication, then there were effects of the medication. Now I used to have episodes of hypos, and they are really scary. So after hypos, now I was the other conditions that with diabetes you experience. So if you are not controlling your sugars, there are other conditions
that you could get.
If you are a lady, you will get something called UTI. You also get skin infections.
Interesting. So let's come back to hypos, and by hypos you mean low blood sugars.
Yeah, I mean low blood sugars.
So talk to us a bit about when that experience comes in. How does that look like?
So you can get hypo if you haven't eaten enough, or if you have taken your medication and you haven't eaten, or you are timing for meals. Maybe you have stayed long
without having food
or snacking in between. So you might get a hypo. And the signs and symptoms of hypo is you start sweating, shaking, you get heavy tongue. Also, you start behaving like a drunkard or someone who is high on something, because your brain needs energy also. You start having a blood vision also, a blackout, because your eyes also need energy. Basically, you need energy for you to function.
So you move into a very weak state.
If there is no quick response, it can be life-threatening.
Interesting. Now that was incredible. Thank you for listening in. Share this with your networks and follow us on all social media at StoryLink and at NCD Champions. See you on the next one.